Alright, got a Bracan game here. I generally really like any type of like Flighty Scout or kind of similar minion that does some type of summoning. The reason for this is that it will proc a lot of your different quests. So there's like, you need minions to die, you need to like summon units. So these are kind of just really good for any of those kind of quests that you might run into. Generally just going to level up turn 2 here. There's really not too much to think about in general. Just for Bracan hero power, you just kind of do lightning when you don't have these minions. The like taunt and the buff and any of those, like the Flighty Scout doesn't get those, it summons after. So unfortunate that we take a loss here, but it's kind of expected. Galakrond stayed down for us. So going into this turn, I think generally the best play is going to be for stuff like Naga, that like is generating your spellcraft every turn. I think it's a little bit okay to play it. If you think about it, the only thing we lost here is if we get a quest that requires summoning Naga or summoning minions generally. But I do hold the spell, and the reason for this, just like it kind of gives us a little bit of just safety for trying to not take too much damage. You can see that we end up going even there. But I do keep the spell in case you get some type of spell quest. Here you can see, I think the Spectres is, the Death Rattle I just don't think is that great in the current meta. You're kind of forcing yourself into the undead. I don't think Accelerator is that great either, and that's kind of why I end up going Spectre. And my mindset is that I'm not going to really force the battle cries unless I really need to. So here I probably just level and take Pointy Arrow, and just try to play healthy. At this point, I could probably either go the Water Invocation or Lightning. I think either of them are pretty reasonable here. But yeah, priority will be to get the quests done, just because we want to be generating that extra minion every turn. That's going to just help us triple units. It's going to help us get to our late game combo pieces. Again, just really unlucky that we don't get any battle cries, and for that reason I just kind of level. My thought process for a quest meta is it's kind of like any other you know, meta that we had when it came to just playing the game. Like, you know, buy stuff that when it makes sense, level if you have a bad shop. I kind of value pairs a little bit less in the current meta. I think a lot of the times your game plan is really just playing around your quest finishing. Also, because I'm taking Spectre, you know, triples matter a little bit less because I'm just going to naturally get them as from that quest reward. So okay, we leveled up. We take 6, which is fine. And here we have one battle cry with the sapper, or with the Death Swarmer. I think here taking the Naga is pretty reasonable. It's just like another good one. Really just like I'm doing lightning pretty much every time in the early game. The reason for that is there's a couple 1 health minions with the like undead tribe. You can potentially hit like the warp wings, and yeah, so that's kind of why I've been just defaulting to lightning without really thinking about it too much. In general, I think the only ones you really would ever think about is doing water in the early game, or if in the late game you really need a taunt. Fire in the late game you might use for like a exponential scaling, something like Terragosa. But here you can see like we're relatively healthy, not taking too much. Oh good, this is when we end up tying. So now we got 2 more battle cries here, and I think those are kind of good enough just to finish off what we're trying to do. I think I hit the gold generation just to help us a little bit there, and this should let us complete. And then what I kind of am thinking about doing here is seeing if there's a way that I can level up, and then use these Naga to try and triple. My other thought process is, because I'm playing these undead, I'm kind of leaning into that whole undead build of the 4-drop that generates the spell, and then this 5-drop that buffs spells, but really not forcing anything yet. Again, still hitting lightning, just there's, you know, also there's divine shields that you can proc. I think we got one this time. So yeah, we're really healthy spot here, and we end up getting our triple, which is nice because we can level now and get a 6-drop. The Savjz is probably going to be the best just stabilized, and I can also try and get the Savjz to triple every turn. And here we find the this one new Murloc, in which what this thing does is whenever you, like once per turn, whenever you buy a spell, it gives you this 1/1 Murloc that casts the spell. And you can see here, like it generates 3 spells for us, it generates a lot of tempo for us. And going into late game, what you want to do with these is put like buff spells on these, like the AoE buffs. And there's another Murloc that procs battle cries at the end of the turn for tavern tier 3 or below or whatever. So you can use these 1/1s in combination with that to essentially like AoE buff your board, and then you just play like buff spells here. So here you can see that we're getting the Savjz. We're going to be taking a big chunk of damage here. Yeah, we take 9, unfortunately. But we're right now in a pretty healthy spot. We're generating a lot of value with Savjz. We have a little bit of direction right now with the Murlocs. Potentially, if we can find that one 4-drop Murloc, and or if we can find Bran. The other option, we do still have the ability to lean into these undeads in the late game. So end up here, I take the Murloc that does the AoE buffs, just kind of leaning into that still, and I'm trying to set it up that Savjz is my minion that dies, that way I can triple Savjz next turn. And that just gives us a lot of value next turn between the spellcrafts that allow us to generate all the different spells. So those are kind of, I'm leaning at least those 2 builds. For the undead, I would need to find the 4-drop to commit to that. For Murlocs, I would also need to find their 4-drop to be able to commit to that. But we do have 2 options right now for what builds we can play, and it gives us 2 4-drop outs. And again, we're still generating a lot of value with our Savjz. So yeah, we end up getting that triple. You can see here what happens is we get the 2 Savjz as we triple, and this ends up giving us 4 spells every turn. And here you can see that we found that one Murloc, the 4-drop. So now we're just looking for Bran. The next thing we're going to be looking for is Drukhari, and then the AoE buffs. Murkai also works in combination with this because it just gives an extra proc to that Murloc at the end turn. Here we find the a spell buffer. Kind of a misplay there. I don't think I should have gotten the taunt. I think I should have probably just taken the 4-1. But here, a couple options here. Really, the only thing I don't want to do, I don't want to get the 1/1 to be my last minion to die, and I don't want Savjz to be my last minion that dies, but honestly, like, I think I probably could have taunted Savjz over the Bran, but my thought is eventually I will just be able to kind of survive with everything else being tripled and just play a normal Bran. So we end up getting the Demon Dragon guy here that helps buff our spells. We find a Drukhari, and at this point, kind of the next thing is we need to sell out of the Savjz, and then I can also sell out of that one 5-drop Murloc. Ideally, I'd get one more buff spell, and that's what we get here. So what we end up doing is we have, I don't know why I was doing this. I shouldn't have played that demon. I should have just kept it and tried to triple it. But essentially what my comp ends up being is I have 2 buff spell Murlocs. I have Drukhari and Bran. So those make it so I get an extra like multiplicative effects on that. And then I have the dragon demon that's buffing us. Next minion that can kind of go out is probably the Murkai. Like it is doing something for us where it's proccing one of the spells, but it's only doing like, it's making it so instead of giving us like a 2 multiplier on all of our effects, we're effectively getting like a 1 extra Murloc summon there, which isn't bad. I just think there's kind of more that we could be doing. So here we get a second Bran. So next thing we're kind of looking to see is if we can triple brand. Armor's nice, but really we don't really have, you know, once you get to this spot, we're kind of board locked, and even like as we continue, the only thing you can do is start looking for some of the scam cards. I think in the very late game, the best thing that you can do with this is get rid of one of your units, probably the dragon that's doing the spell buffing, and you can play a golden base skill and then 2 poison murlocs in your hand, and that gives you at least a little bit of utility. And you can see I was looking at the comp just to see if there's something I'm missing. I was trying to figure out like whether the Murkai is or is not the like a good minion here. And you can see like we end up not even getting Spectre value this turn just because the opponent's so weak. It's really unfortunate. But this is right now probably one of the best scaling comps in the game. So we find a golden brand. Really the next thing that I'm kind of trying to see is just what else I can do. I end up cycling Mystic. My thought process is that the Murkai is, because it's the next minion that we would sell, it's okay to kind of just use that as a cycle spot for now. Just, you know, if you're looking at Jeef guide on the side, you can see that he doesn't even use Murkai. I do think that the Murkai is not like a bad unit, especially to just finish with. And here you can see that we found another one of those 4 drops, and this gives us a triple. And then I find the Murkai that I can finish on every turn. And I guess, like, you know, potentially I could triple a Murkai or something, but you know, nothing too crazy. Probably should have taken Telescope there. Just, I don't know why I didn't. But here you can see the Murkai starts off at his 9/6 this turn. And just in the single turn here, and we're also missing that there's some of the effects are going on next turn, but we got 300 stats in just all the shenanigans here. And if I were to guess, it's probably going to go to like 400 or 500 for the other like effects that are going to be like doing those duplicate spell effects on the next turn. So 318, yeah, 552 in one turn. So you figure like, oh, and there you can see that why you don't want to generate the 1 drops for our hero or quest payoff. But yeah, so just cycling, because I have a Murkai, I'm pretty confident just cycling it. End up just kind of trying to get some Shoalfins to give us a little bit more buffs here. But nothing too crazy here for finishing. Only thing is just trying to see if I can find a little bit of utility. I find the Naga, and then just do another Murkai. But yeah, so let's see what our scaling is this time. So last time was like 560. This gets to... So this gets to 470 in the pre-round, so you figure it's going to get another like 300-400 in the next round. So we're doing effectively 900-ish scaling AoE every turn. You figure over 7 minions. So that's like 6,300 attack and health every turn on your board. So really good scaling. Alright, cool. See ya. Bye.